Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Chinelo Anene and I'm joined by my co-amazing anchors tonight, the able D, Diola, and one and only NJ. Hi ladies, how you doing?
Happy New Year to you.
Yes, actually, Happy New Year. We've been on the show together.
Like
we're together on Monday, weren't we?
It's almost the end of the first quarter and this is my first time on set.
In fact,
how are you doing?
I'm alright. I'm fine. I'm good.
His Royal,
I'm okay.
His Royal Highness. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. But yeah, it's been. I looked. I don't know what's going on. It's like March has somewhere to be, because the days have been running by. So like you look at the clock, it's 9 a.m. and then next thing is 2 p.m. and then it's 6 and then it's 9 and then it's 12 and I'm like, hey, relax. What's going on?
And before you know it, you start seeing the 20-something. End of the month.
I have mixed feelings about it actually, because it just feels like you pay the bills at the end of the month and then before you bat an eyelid, you're back to paying another set of bills again. But outside of that, I'm happy that it's actually going really fast, because I don't know where I'm going to, but I just can't wait for this. Like, let's just get done quickly and move on to greater things.
I know the feeling.
Diola, how you doing?
Okay, taking it one day at a time.
I know, right? Everything will be all right. And tonight we're not talking about a particularly exciting topic, because it's sort of, you talk about these kind of things and then just sort of weighs the energy, But yeah, we've got to do what we've got to do, right? So here's what we found as today's quotes. Kidnapping causes a long-term rupture in the psyche of those kidnapped and of those who wait for their return. It doesn't end. I'll take that again. Kidnapping causes a long-term rupture in the psyche of those kidnapped and of those who wait for their return. It doesn't end. And this is by Uzodinma Iwala. So 2 separate times in a single week, groups of armed men riding motorcycles abducted hundreds of people from jungles in the northern parts of the nation. First, on Wednesday, we learned of the kidnapping of women and children from a camp for internally displaced people by suspected militant Islamists in Borno State. Then, the next day, gunmen abducted more than 280 students ages between 8 to 15, along with a few instructors from a school, hundreds of miles away in the northwest to a neighboring forest. However, amidst all of this, President Tinubu vows not to pay a dime as ransom to rescue the abducted children. It's our ladies' night out, and Angela, NJ, and I are here to discuss the topic: mass kidnapping. Tinubu rejects $620,000 ransom. And when we open our phone lines, it's very important, because we'd actually love to hear from you. We'd love to hear what you have to say. But first of all, let's take a break to found in the news. You are still watching Ways. With the purpose of recognizing and acknowledging the work of speakers around the world, Professional Speakers Celebration Day, founded by the Global Speakers Federation, seeks to show love and appreciation to those who bring words of teaching, training, growth, and encouragement through seminars, conferences, corporate events, and more. This holiday, anytime I hear people who are professional public speakers, I give it to them, because sometimes you have to be pretty articulate and eloquent, to be able to speak to people, a large group of people. It's one thing to talk, like Angie said today. It's one thing to communicate. It's another thing for them to be able to comprehend what you're saying, right?
Absolutely.
So, what are your thoughts about the international holiday?
That's a lot. I think that's a whole lot of work because you have to know how to use nuances, words. You can't be repeating words. You will have to up your confidence in case somebody's glaring at you and you're wondering, how am I making sense? Where do you find the courage to keep speaking?
Some people are not nice.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It almost feels like you have to have like dictionary.
Yeah.
And then you have to have you have
Your
to
vocabulary
have,
has to be wide.
Yeah, you're very wide,
Yeah.
and you have to be widely read and
True.
all that. So
Very
there are
true.
lots of things to it, and I think it takes a lot of work
Yeah.
and a lot of intentionality in order to get to that point where you can, I still vibrate when I'm speaking in front of people, and then I'm learning skills that would help me. You're using different mechanisms. Some people say, "Oh, look at everybody like they're headless." Some people say certain things. There are different ways. Look up in the sky, look at the roof, and all that. So there are different. Or look to the person at the back, way back. So that way, everyone feels like you're looking at them, but you're looking straight down at the wall or you're painting at the end. So there are different skills, and there are lots of things that you have to bring to the table in order to get to that point. And yeah, and I know it takes a lot of work. And is it a holiday? Or it's just an awareness day?
It's just an awareness. It's a celebration day. It's just a day to celebrate public speakers generally.
Here's to celebrating.
Yeah,
Public
we
speakers.
celebrate you guys. It's not easy, like you all said. Jola, what did you find for us in the news tonight?
Okay, so today, well, considering the sad thing that happened, we're trying to move on, but Ike Mokwede, he's been reinstated as the chairman of Access Holdings, and that's testament to his passion, commitment to the vision, that he shared with Herbert. And of course, he did say that he's committed to ensuring that the vision that he shared, would come to light and they would progress. And I think that's really a very good thing. And he had been the one-time chairperson, and of course, due to the CBN rule about MDs within the financial sector just staying for a period of 10 years, he had to leave, but now he's back. And that's testament to the confidence of the shareholders, and I'm wishing them all the, good fortunes and everything. Well, Ike is a name by himself, so let's hope for more beautiful things from Access Holdings.
Absolutely.
That's good. My story this evening is soldiers rescue kidnapped victims and then they recover bodies in Taraba. So troops of 6th Brigade Nigerian Army and Sector 3 Operation Wild Stroke on Wednesday conducted an operation which led to the rescue of 3 kidnapped victims and the recovery of 8 bodies in Taraba State. The Nigerian Army disclosed this in a statement posted on its official X handle on Thursday. According to the statement, the operation led by Commander Brigadier General Kingsley Uwa was conducted in response to an attack on an 18-seater bus along in Donga local government. Let me go there, in Donga local government area, which resulted in the disappearance of 15 passengers, including a baby. I think let me stop there. Let me not put too much let me not put most of the sad news out. I think the point I'm trying to state here is this is a success. I know that the soldiers and the military have been putting a lot of efforts in action in order to help recover or find some people who have been kidnapped, and maybe from their homes or from church, streets, schools. And I think I don't know it's part of what we're going to discuss tonight. So I think for me this is a win, and this just shows that there are some measures being put in place. It might not be as much as we want it to be or as good as we want it to be, but there are some measures put in place in some states. I don't know about all.
Okay, still on this kidnap matter. So what I found in news on Punch newspaper, some kidnap cases in FCT are stage managed, and this was said by, let me not call him what I want to call him, but yeah, Wiki. So the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Ransom, has said that most cases of kidnapping in the FCT in recent times were stage-managed. He declared that there has been a remarkable improvement in the security situation of the territory. And he said this today, actually, yesterday, Wednesday, after about 2 hours of closed-door session with the Senate on the state of security in FCT and the measures that are being put in place. However, he said that though the FCT has not reached where it wants to be in terms of security, there has been a marked improvement in the security situation as attested to by the lawmakers. He also noted that it was impossible to put a total stop to crime and criminalities within society, but he assured that all the FCT administration working with security agencies will continue to do its best to secure lives and property in the nation's capital. He also said that even the senators agreed that security has quite improved in the FCT, and that there's no part in this world where criminality has been eradicated completely. And as much as I agree with him that there's no part of the world where, you know, you can complete, it's inevitable. Crime is everywhere, no matter how safe. What you can say is that maybe the crime rate will be low. And now speaking to the terms of insecurity in Nigeria, knowing what it is in Nigeria, and then now associating it to what happened, especially during the festive period, towards the end of last year and then early this year, you know, the kidnap cases, and I heard it was really hot in Abuja at the time. They were really there were quite a number of videos as well. We saw people driving into the houses and then they're abducted just right in front of their houses and things like that. But he has come out to say that it's a lot better now. They're trying to curb these crime rates and all. But I'm happy that your story spoke to kidnapping. This also speaks to kidnapping. So that also already gives us like a baseline for our conversation for tonight. But then let's go on a short break, and then when we come back, we'll dive right into the conversation. See you soon.
This woman wails, "Please come and help us. Don't leave us. We have not eaten. Please help us. Where is the president? Where is the governor?" She cries over the plight of at least 287 students who went to school in Nigeria on Thursday and were abducted. Authorities say gunmen surrounded a state-run school just as the children were about to start their studies for the day. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has sent in the nation's military to search for and hopefully rescue the children. He said nothing else is acceptable than to return the students to their families. No group has claimed responsibility for the mass kidnapping yet. In 2014, an extremist organization called Boko Haram took 275 girls from their school's dormitory. 10 years later, at least 100 of those children are still missing.
Our next story is from Nigeria. Last week, we told you about a kidnapping. Almost 300 students were taken from their school during morning assembly. This was last Thursday. The children still haven't been found, and no group has taken responsibility yet, but the kidnappers are expected to demand a large ransom for their release. Now, if this was happening on your watch, what would you do? Send out the army? Go meet the families of the victims? Set up base in the affected town until the children are found? All good options. But Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has different ideas. He did fly out yesterday, but he landed about 150 kilometers south of the affected village. He went to a different state. Why? To inaugurate an airport that has been renamed after him. So amid a spree of kidnappings, Nigeria's president chooses to inaugurate the Bola Tinubu airport. A crisis is unfolding under his nose, but Tinubu is busy cutting ribbons, which begs the question, how tone-deaf can you be? How can you ignore the plight of your citizens? These are some families from Kuriga, the village where the children were kidnapped.
We plead with the government to help us. We don't have any security in this community, no police outpost, no military presence, and no local vigilante. We are responsible for our own security, so anytime they want, they will invade the community and do whatever they feel like doing.
We don't know what to do, but we believe in God. We don't have security, no soldiers, no police to protect the school.
This problem we are facing, we are crying, looking for help from the government and God. But it is the gunmen that will decide to bring the children back.
They say they haven't received any help from the government. They're at the mercy of the bandits, and they're anxiously waiting to get their children back. In this situation, inaugurating an airport seems absurd. Now, the Nigerian government will say that they are on top of things. They have reportedly deployed the army. They're apparently working with the Air Force and local vigilante groups as well. But so far, there have been no updates on the whereabouts of the children. Meanwhile, there have been more kidnappings. On Saturday, 15 more school children were taken, this time in the country's far north. In another case, kidnappers have come out with their ransom demand. This is for 16 people who were kidnapped on the 28th of February. The kidnappers allegedly want 14 trillion naira. That's about 25 billion US dollars. Of course, that's a ridiculous amount, but it shows the impunity of the kidnappers. They've been getting bolder over the last few months. Since Tinubu came to power last May, an estimated 4,500 people have been kidnapped across the country. This is according to a consultancy based in Lagos in southern Nigeria. 4,500 kidnappings in the last 9 months on Tinubu's watch. It adds to his growing list of scandals. He's appointed his son-in-law to a high government post. His economic policies have caused the naira to crash. The people have been suffering with rising inflation, and now kidnappings are rampant again. Amid all this chaos, Tinubu chooses to put his name on an airport. It shows his misplaced priorities and utter lack of tact.
Nigeria has experienced a terrifying increase in mass kidnappings in recent months, which has devastated communities and highlighted the nation's worsening security situation. This wave of kidnappings, which was formerly limited mostly to the northeastern region affected by the Boko Haram insurgency, has now expanded over many states, impacting both urban and rural areas. An alarming incident involved the kidnapping of approximately 300 pupils from a boarding school located in Katsina State. These kidnappings have a variety of reasons behind them. Although the kidnappers' main motivation is ransom payments, their actions also contribute to more general problems, including economic instability, ethnic strife, and the spread of small guns. The ramifications of these widespread abductions surpass the acute distress experienced by the abducted individuals and their relatives. They worsen socio-economic inequality by making families pay huge amounts of money to have their loved ones released, or face the repercussions for not complying, or undermining public confidence in the government's ability to maintain security. So tonight we're asking, what are your thoughts about the recent mass kidnapping in the country? Please let's say what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 08180384663. Whew. This is a lot. I mean, following that statistics, it says about 800 people have been kidnapped in the last 9 months. I mean, to be very fair, this thing has been going on before Tinubu came into power, so we cannot particularly say, oh, I mean, according to that report, right? But at the same time, 9 months is a lot of time. So we're now asking, you know what? Let me start this way. Let me start this way. I would like to look at this from different angles, right? And let me open the floor for this conversation. You know, the salience, which according to our topic is him refusing to pay that ransom of $620,000. That's a lot of money. And I must say that these kidnappers, then get in mind. Because how do you come to ask? It's the boldness and the audacity for me. Yeah. But on the other hand, right, there are several reasons, logical reasons why he would say that he refuses to pay that, right? So number one, I would say, anywhere in the world, it's against government policy to give into terrorism like that, to say, oh, you want to go and pay. The kidnappers have asked for a certain amount of money, and then, we're not talking about your brother or your sister or your mother or your father that was kidnapped here. They're literally telling the nation that you need, it's like these movies that we watch, you need to give this amount of money if you know that you want these people to be released. And I don't think any government is going to give into that, ideally, because that would mean that you're empowering them to say it's okay for you to take people away and come back tomorrow and say that you are requesting for XYZ amount of money and then we're supposed to give you. So I would not particularly say that his stance is wrong, right? It's okay. But let's also look at ethical considerations. Right, there are ethical repercussions for paying ransoms, isn't it? So it would seem like you're funding criminal activities. It would seem like you're encouraging further kidnappings and all those kind of things. So again, I would say that I would not particularly blame him if he says that he's not going to pay that amount of money. again, let's look at it. Impact on security. If he gives in to say that he's going to. But then that now brings us to the government's role in actually addressing this kidnap. You know, when we had the Chibok girls issue, as far back as that was like 2014 or 20, was it 20? I think 2014 thereabout. That's when we had the issue of the Chibok girls. And from one of the videos that we watched, over 100 girls have not come back from that situation, meaning that about 50% of these people are either still in those people's
in the camps,
or we don't even know, maybe they're dead. No one knows, right? So let's start this conversation from this angle. So Jola,
okay, so it's very interesting that I mean, we've been talking about insecurity for such a long time, and I would like to come from this angle to say that while security is the purview of the federal government, we must also, at this point, hold governors accountable. Because first and foremost, the governor is the chief security officer of his state. So if the people in your state for which you collect XYZ votes do not feel, honestly, I mean, because, I mean, we're talking governance, we're in a democracy,
absolutely,
not a military era. So the closest people who the people can talk to say, okay, you know what, this is what you should be saying at the federal level for us, is the governor. Again, let's even say, before you get to the governor, you have your legislators representing constituencies. So I'm asking, are they speaking? Are they truly speaking? Or are they just speaking and then there's no implementation? Are they holding somebody accountable? Again, I would like to speak to the fact that insecurity is rooted in abject poverty.
Absolutely.
Ethnicity, religious bigotry, and all of that. So until we address all of that, again, it brings me, for me, I will keep talking about governors. If governors make the standard of living in communities better, you would find that more, it's not exactly like all of them want to get into. I'm not holding breath for them, but again, I mean, if you sit them down, we've had issues when you know, some terrorists and they were giving the amnesty program, you know, and when they said that, oh, they were only in this because of, I mean, not to excuse to say that, okay, you know what, if you don't get your way, then you go into this. But we must understand these root causes and find a lasting solution to poverty. Poverty, I mean, talking solutions, it's not about giving stipends of 5,000 naira as empowerment. It's not going to solve anything because 5,000 naira is going to finish. And then tomorrow they come back. They're back on the street. So what are we doing? I mean, then again, I mean, that's north, prevalent in the north. Now we have kidnapping in the south. So what is happening? Okay, so we're all waiting for the president, right? The president can, again, let's look at the numbers of the Nigerian military. Let's look at the numbers of the Nigerian police. How much can they really do? So for me, I mean, everywhere I go, I talk about state policing. I'm an advocate for state policing because it is hard for you to talk about security with an Adamu who is in Lagos, who has no connection. I mean, if a policeman, you become a community police. If a policeman lives in the environs of where he is policing, these people are not strangers. They're your neighbors. And then it drives home the point that one day it could be your child.
Of course.
You will do better. You will be more passionate. You will find reasons to incentivize yourself to do better. So that's the angle I am looking at this. I mean, it's a multi-hydra. I mean, it's so.
I like what you said there with state policing, right? And you know, the question I always ask is, to start with, these so-called kidnappers are not stupid people.
They're not.
If they knew that there is a lot of security wherever it is that they want to go and attack, trust me, they will not go there.
Absolutely.
Why are they not coming to Lekki Fezon to kidnap people? Why are they not walking into schools?
Why are they not going to Oshodi?
Do you understand?
But they actually have come to the island.
To abduct children, to pack 200 children from a school.
Not like that. But
that's what I'm talking
there have been some
about.
kidnapping cases in Lekki Phase 1 and even in Ikoyi.
But, sorry to cut you off, NJ, but if you look at it, right, that one is, for lack of a better word, is social.
Targeted.
Do you understand? We're talking about
mass kidnapping.
walking into a school and picking 200 kids. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, that was well coordinated.
Honestly,
200 kids means you came with at least 2 buses.
Vans.
To manage temperaments
like
and children and tantrums. That's a lot.
And we don't have a clarity if they took teachers along with them.
No, they said some adults were taken with them.
Definitely,
a few adults were taken with them.
It's kind of it's an unfortunate situation we find ourselves in. And the thing is that there are different ways. I feel like, I know we're talking about how we feel like the government should go about these things. There are different ways. Some questions, sometimes I ask myself the question, do the security agencies even work together? Do they collaborate? Do they share information? Because sometimes it always seems like everyone is working with their own agenda, and everyone wants to shine on their own. So most of the information right now is I know that the military are doing a lot. They're doing a lot. They're going into, you know, the nooks and crannies and trying hard to, because they have the expertise. You know, that's another thing. So it also boils down to Nigerian police. What is the training? How are they, you know, we know that they are under-equipped and underpaid. And these are some of the problems, because we even hear that some of them give out, you know, their uniforms and you know, weapons to some of these people. So that's the thing. So just like you said, the moment we're able to tackle that major root cause, which is the poverty, because it's the mindset. When I feel like I'm part of a community, I am made to see my community as my family. So when I see something weird happening around my community, even though I don't raise it, it raises an eyebrow. I'm like, okay, I haven't seen this person here before. Where is he from? And you start asking questions. And then if the person makes like a funny move. But for it to also even be that, what kind of security are we even putting in our schools today? Because it means that there should be some level of, if the systems were working together, there should be some interaction whereby something happens like this. You know how you pick up your phone, you call 911, you get someone on the phone, and you can actually get, but in Nigeria, it also boils down to facilities and what is made available, because sometimes you call them and you've had cases of them telling you that they don't have any petrol in their car, or that you should call another, you know, station nearby. You know, you hear funny things, and I think is time. There's a lot happening right now, so this is really coming at a bad time. You know, this case has been the rate has been increasing over the years. If you look at the statistics, you know, between maybe like 2015 or 2011, even as far back as 2011. It gives you an analysis, and it just tells you how it has risen from maybe kidnapping of like 20 people or 50 people in a whole year to 4,800 in 9 months. So just calculate how many people have. And in between that, you have a lot of people who have lost their lives. You have a lot of people who have been damaged psychologically based on the experience that they've had. I've watched some of the videos, and you see, even when there was one that they kidnapped a whole music band. And by the time they released them, you could see that some of them are fathers, some of them are, you know, they are loved ones, but they looked like they had been dipped in dirt, and as if where they were sleeping under, you know, under a rug. Then they'll put a rug over them, because they look so dusty, dirty, which means that they were taken like far into the forest. So you can imagine the psychological effect of that on an individual. Even just an accident, you see how people react. You don't want to drive again for a while. So you can imagine the trauma behind seeing a gun pointed on your face or in between your eyes, and then you see someone being shot dead right in front of you, or being cut up right in front of you, because you can never tell who exactly kidnapped you. So this is whether you're taking it from the legal angle, what are the legal implications of things like this? I know that the government has come out to say they're increasing the sentencing, but there has to be, we have to start from the grassroots to we can't just take it, you can't just take it from the top and say, okay, I know that there's a rule against, paying ransom. But also, it's high time for the government to let the people know what exactly you're putting in place. How can people sleep at night and not be sure that they are secure? You have to put barricades. You have to even carry it. We have almost gotten to the point where it's almost like, okay, just legalize, so that everybody will just ensure their own safety, or everybody has to sleep with a knife or a bat under their pillow. So we are slowly getting to that point. There's now so much courage that they get into people's homes, houses, school, children. We are getting to the point where it's becoming, a don't be silly case. Do you understand? So it's high time that the government puts a plan in place to collaborate with all the agencies to find a specific plan. I don't know why we have to talk about this thing every time for every situation. We have elderly people who have children. You don't have to wait until it becomes something personal. You have to if you love life, you would know that as much as a child, not to talk less of an adult and what have you, is precious. So security is something that, because security, it tampers with everything. Absolutely. It tampers with the investors coming into. Absolutely. The reason why we don't have enough investors coming into Nigeria or pouring into Nigeria, irrespective of our growing and thriving economy, is because of insecurity. It started with expatriates. Expatriates in Port Harcourt and the likes, on the road they're kidnapping them and they're asking for their ransoms are in dollars. Yeah. And then now you're kidnapping school children. Like, when is it going to end? Are we ever going to have an end to this? It just doesn't make sense. And the fact that we keep talking about the same thing and nothing's being done just makes you...
Yeah. So I like all the points that you've raised. So I also want to say something that is going to sound very in my break tables. Yeah. But you see, we've discussed the role of the government, what we expect from the government. We've called them out. But we must also call ourselves out. That's very important. Kidnappers, terrorists, they live in communities. They are people we know, someone's husband, someone's brother, someone's child. And we keep quiet because we think we're sheltering them, we're protecting them. We feel like they don't have a choice but to do this because they need to make ends meet. If we don't call out ourselves, the truth is this will keep going on. Because how many does the government want to kill? How many? Let's even say that the government brings a rule tomorrow to say, oh, any kidnapper caught is death sentence. Guess what will happen? Is someone's mother somewhere that will say, their Joe, please, for apologies, please, cover my shame. Oh, please, it's your brother. That's when they will remember that they know their chieftain, their chief in their town. Yeah. That's when they will remember that they know one cousin in high places. We are, apologies to use this word, but we cannot suffer mediocrity and think we will move forward. It's not possible. Security is everybody's business. It's not just the government. Yes, the government, that's their core responsibility to ensure the safety of lives and properties and all that. But the government is too far. My neighbor is my chief security officer, just as I am my neighbor's chief security officer. Absolutely. So when we indulge these things, we're setting the stage for a nation where everybody one day will just become a kidnapper and think it is okay.
Okay, Jola, let's open our phone lines, but let's take a short break and then when we come back, we'll open our phone lines. See you in a bit.
In today's dynamic global economy, small and medium enterprises stand as unsung hero, playing a pivotal role in driving economic growth, fostering innovation, and creating employment opportunities for millions. Now, according to the World Bank, 600 million jobs will be needed by 2030 to absorb the growing workforce. And believe me when I tell you that the SMEs will be the major employer. My name is Oluwadamilola Ibitoye, and I'm on a mission to uncover and reveal the stories of incredible entrepreneurs who are changing the game in the business world. I'll be sitting down with passionate and innovative business leaders as they share their journeys, challenges, futuristic plans, and successes. SME Chats, spotlighting inspiring entrepreneurs, one episode at a time.
Parenting is different to everybody in the sense that the way I choose to parent my children is going to be different from the way when you have kids, the way you're going to choose to parent your own kids. There are some certain ways that we were brought up, and we ourselves have grown and have seen that, okay, this is the way my parents have raised me. This I like, this I don't like, or even everything altogether I don't like, and then I decide that this is what I want to do with my child.
Yeah.
So parenting is different for everybody, and there's no right or wrong parenting. The most fundamental when it comes to parenting is how you relate with your child.
Okay, our phone line is now open. The number to call is 070-2500-7749. Again, the number to call is 070-2500-7749. So, Jola, you were saying something before we went on a break. You were talking about how we need to call ourselves out. So I'm assuming that what you mean is, I know that my cousin is a kidnapper, right? I am supposed to tell my cousin in.
Oh, absolutely.
Law enforcement.
Absolutely.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So now I'm saying, so how do we know?
You will know if your cousin is living above their means. Simple.
It could be anything.
No, that's the thing. We don't ask questions.
Right. That's what. So that's where I was going.
We don't ask questions.
That's where I was going to. Okay, so you're coming from the point of figure out what everybody, be more aware and alert about what's happening in your environment. Yeah.
There's movement now. If you're sensitive.
Discernment.
And discernment is a bit more spiritual. If you're sensitive, there's some movement someone would do. Say, come here. Where are you going?
Exactly.
Where are you coming from? What do you have in your hand? You would feel the vibe.
Okay, so I want us to talk about. So I mean, now also talking about this exact topic where we're talking about the president refusing or rejecting the ransom of $620,000, right? So I mean, let it not just be all talk, right? What other strategies do you think that the government can actually employ to, effectively negotiate with these bandits or these kidnappers instead of succumbing to their ransom demands?
I think engaging with traditional rulers, it's very key. I mean, the truth is we do know ourselves, right? And the best way to get intelligence is not from some abstract person.
Yeah.
It's from people within a community.
Yeah.
And whether we like it or not, this is why you have traditional rulers. It is for reasons such as this, because even spiritual leaders, you believe that they are closer to the people, and it's easy for people to be able to engage, in a more truthful way.
Or confide in them.
Exactly. And then you let the traditional ruler, find a way to mediate, just to ensure that they resolve a situation. So, but I think that, again, there is only so much you can do as strangers in a land with terrains that you're not familiar with.
Absolutely.
And that's why they say military people never win guerrilla warfare.
Yeah.
You don't. Because it's not your terrain. No amount of training can prepare you for it. What you don't know is what you don't know. So that is one end. Of course, religious leaders, engage them as well. Talk to people. You have CDAs. I mean, they just let the people understand what is at stake. Again, I think that a lot of us feel that this thing is so far from us, And Nigerians have a very bad culture of until you experience it firsthand before you know that, oh, this thing is real. A lot of people will still say, oh, no, it's not happening, it's not happening. But when it touches you, and that comes back to, you know, when I say that let us just be sensitive, let us be aware, you know, and if you can't go to the police just because, I mean, you have a certain notion about them, most of us live, of course, because security has become our business, we pay for our security. A lot of us live in gated communities. A lot of us belong to CDAs and all that. I mean, these are things that we can engage our CDAs at that level. Who then take it to the constituent leaders, you know, the legislators. And then it brings me back to governance, true governance. We must, as a matter of principle, now learn to demand better from our legislators. This is why we sent you there. You're not just there to... These are the real issues. You understand? So,
yeah, I mean, before I come to you, NG, Jola, I like what you have said. The truth is, I strongly believe that there's a multifaceted approach to dealing with this, right? And I like that you've spoken about communicating and coordinating local channels, you know, gathering intelligence and all of that. Now, NG, of course, we know that there are non-concession terms in quotes, right? And, you know, for example, we've heard of amnesty, which happened in times of Goodluck Jonathan, right? There was the one of amnesty where they'll say, okay, so just come and surrender, and then once you surrender, we grant you amnesty and all of that. Do you think that that is still, how do I put it? Do you think that that is still approachable now or effective? Do you think that strategy is effective enough now?
I don't necessarily think it was effective then.
In the first place.
Yeah? So asking no, I don't even think it was an effective plan, because what it did was that it now gave them financial aid. So they now became the leaders. The small boys that, you know, used to now became the leaders. So now they're almost like you're fighting what you thought was the solution. You know, you thought doing that would be the solution, but now you're having to fight those people because you have armed them. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So it's like one of the problems of America. Most of the people who, you know, have been caught as maybe like terrorists and what have you, went to school in America. They were in the army. So I'm not saying don't do that, because really you can't restrict that.
Of course.
But the thing is that there are certain things you can put in place. So from my point of view, I would take it from this technology. So we're getting into a point in time where technology is a big thing now. We look at the budget every time, and there's so much money put in there. You know, you want to renovate this, you want to do that. I think that there should be some financial concession for technology, and I think is already. I'm sure if I look at the budget, there's some plan.
Yeah.
You know, financial budget.
Absolutely.
For it.
Yes.
So I don't know what we are doing. I don't know if we are just buying armored tanks for a war that might not happen. Because the thing is that technology is moving every day. Gone are the days where, you know, you have to wait for a phone and there were satellite phones. Now you have a drone. I can be here and I'll move a drone between here and maybe like 10 kilometers or what have you, depending on the capacity. Yeah. So there are different ways to even monitor certain environments. You can't tell me that you don't know the pathway that these people take. Like you said, they're within the community. So first of all, when you're done dealing with the community, what do you do with that information that you have gathered? What do you do with that intelligence? What do you do with the technology? How do you merge that with technology in order to solve a problem? What happened to drones? How much are drones? And the thing is that there is a budget for it. So what are we doing with that? There's so many other ways and materials that we can use to gather enough intelligence to know what to do. Have we ever ambushed any kidnappers? Like, we had intelligence that they were going, so it has never, that would be the first movie in Nigeria.
No, maybe not with, no, they have, but not with the abductees.
That's what I'm saying. We've never had like a live case of, you know, this happened and maybe same day they chase them. It's always, either everybody dies, it's a shootout. And the thing is that I don't even know what we do to train in terms of training. When we're training our police officers, are we training them? Do you understand? It still goes back to what are we doing with the information and all the tools and materials that we have that have been made available for the various agencies? If you have intelligence, how are you using that? How is it that you cannot connect the dots in a village? Maybe there was a planned kidnapping case and you cannot trace it. You can't even get the police and the security agencies to even show up in time. None of them. So it's a long string of problems. And up until we go down to the root and start addressing it line by line and being honest with ourselves, this thing is going to go on the rise.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing we can do. So there's so many things we can do about it. There's negotiation. Okay, so, you know, they tell us that apart from using good technology, we see so many times, you know, government agents are traveling out of the country. They tell you they're going for conference, they tell you they're going for training. Where are these people when it comes to times of negotiation?
Fighting this thing.
How is it that every time these guys have so much power over us? The audacity of asking for 40 trillion. How much is our...
In fact, what you just said, I have a question. Yeah. I don't know if Chinelo can answer, or maybe you. These guys, when they demand for ransom, do they demand for cash? Or does it go through the financial services system?
That's a different kettle of fish entirely. Okay. Do you want us to delve into that?
Do you want us to also delve into the telecoms part of it?
I mean, because
I know that in telecommunications there is a way of tracking.
Exactly. So these are measures.
That's why I said, see, there are a whole lot. First of all, we're even going too far. Now we're even talking about too much technology. That's going too far. You know, while we're in the makeup room, one of our editors said something. He was talking about, he was talking about how he had lived in the north and how in the north, you know, anybody could just stab anybody. And I think Angie was also part of that conversation. And then everybody moves around with a dagger and... if you kill somebody, you move on from it. That already is a problem. Because so now my question is, what happened to all the law enforcement agencies that are supposed to be there? Let's now even start from the police to the Nigerian army. And we know that the Nigerian army is even more, what's it called now, in the north. So in those villages, okay, fine, we say, okay, there are rural areas and all. Does it mean that they do not have security? You mentioned something about, okay, how long will it take them to get there? The truth is that I don't think those people even exist. Like the law enforcement agencies, I don't think they even exist in those areas, because how far away is the forest that they've taken 200 people into? That first of all, you can't hear voices. You can't see footprints. Did they burrow holes? Are they rabbits? Did they pass through holes that were burrowed?
No evidence.
Do you not have the topography of the area? I mean, these are
so
real
questions.
And this is 2024. Yeah. We're not in the age of, you know, big screen IBM. We're not that backward. Like, we're using cell phones and things like that. So there is a level of, these guys always they travel to the US, they travel to China, they travel to Russia, they go to all these places and they see the kind of technology that is being used there. I'm not saying that you should go and use what Russia is using, but please, can we go at some point in time from level 1 to level 2? Is it ever going to happen?
You were asking for too much.
It also begs the question, is this political?
Again,
that's another case. Exactly.
Because if we look at it realistically speaking, there's no way you tell me that somebody, somewhere, somehow doesn't have an inkling of what's going on. Now, there's this movie that's I watched at some point, what's it called? War. I don't know if anybody has seen it. It's a Nigerian series, by the way, that talks about all of these bandits kidnapping in the north and how there's some politicians that are behind it for several reasons and all of those things, right? And when I watched it, I started to ask myself so many questions, because a lot of things were running through my head, like, wait, so are you telling me that somebody is sitting in the convenience of his living room, knowing that this amount of children were kidnapped and taken to a certain place? Like, what happened to your consciousness? Are you a human being?
You're acting on the premise that the person has a conscience.
Thank you.
And don't forget, there is money to be made in chaos.
So that's it, actually. That's
there
it.
is money to be made in chaos.
Yeah.
No, this is quite. And this is why I was avoiding this because it's
there's
quite a
arms
triggering
sales,
topic for
there's
me.
sales of arms, ammunition. There's so many things. It's a business. It's a racket.
It's an industry.
Yes, it's a racket.
A whole industry. Honestly.
So in that movement, things are being moved.
Honestly.
People.
I mean, we're not even talking.
And they're sold for different reasons.
Yeah. So there is human
trafficking.
Exactly. There is that, and we've not even looked at that.
I was just going to talk about the short-term and long-term implications of, ransom rejection. Because, to be honest, following public perception, a lot of people are saying, oh, how can he reject to pay that? Oh, instead he should negotiate. Oh, instead he should say this. And I mean, that's us talking from a point of, what's it called, human empathy, because these are people's children, right? I understand that. But then at the same time, we also understand that if we are being logical, there are actually implications if he agrees to take on with this. Because if we look at it, it's an international norm anywhere in the world not to accept to pay ransoms. But to be very honest, at this point, and this is, just so we wrap up the conversation, and I'm going to ask us, right, do you think that the president should actually consider negotiating ransom at this point, considering that the people involved in this kidnapping are children? So for the sake of their safety, for the sake of, their family members, parents, siblings, and what else, do you think that the president should actually consider negotiating ransom?
Okay, so my honest opinion, if he considers it, 30 today, tomorrow becomes 300. And then where does it stop?
Right.
That's a lot.
That's
a lot. But it's very true. It's the truth. To be honest, I would never wish this on my enemy.
Yeah.
But it's a tough call for him.
It is.
It is a very tough call. Uneasy is the hat that wears the crown. So it's a very tough call for him. But I would say, just like has been properly stated, the moment you start, there is no end to it. The audacity of 40 trillion today, I don't want to think, no, that has to be political, because I don't know, it has to have some, because for how precise can you be? So yeah, I think he's making the right decision, but I think that they should also come up with other
measures to tackle
and talk to the people.
He must be resolute, regardless of how tough those decisions will be. He probably would. It would bring about people saying he's a wicked person, I mean, for me, in situations like this, you need to be able to say, you know what? Regardless, I'm going to solve this thing, and I don't care what anybody says.
Okay, we have a caller actually. Hello, Laman. Good evening. Good evening, sir. Please go ahead.
See, Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 11. Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 11 says, because sentence against evil work is not speedily done. The heart of men set in to do evil. That is the word of God. It cannot be changed. Because our leaders want to deal with this issue of kidnapping. That is why people now made it a trade. It has now become a business in this country. And secondly, the present administration is joking with the life of the people. They have taken our NIN, they have taken everything, BVN, all our data is there. Where does these people come? Does they come from another planet, if not this planet Earth? I am telling the federal government, if they know the people that are doing it, let them stop it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Loman. We really appreciate your contribution to the show. Thank you very much. I mean, that's just it. There's the NIDs. There are ways to actually track. You know, like you said, why we should telecom
technology.
You're calling now, Abi. Why can't you track? If your mega steals your money tomorrow, you know how to go to whatever office to go and find out.
Until I was involved in a case and police tracked. I knew, oh, so they can't track in this country. We can't.
So, I mean, it's actually important to know that decisions to refuse ransom payments must be carefully weighed against the safety of these people that have been kidnapped, right? But however, like we have established on this table tonight, the government should actually ensure that alternative measures are made, and made very, very quickly. Oh, apparently we have another caller. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. As I'm watching the live program and I want to make my contribution.
Please go ahead, sir. We're listening to you. You're live.
But I am live. I'm watching now and they are not responding.
No, sir, you can go ahead. We can actually hear you. You can go on.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
My name is Emmanuel, like I said, from Nasarawa.
Welcome, sir.
Yes. So, my contribution is this. You know, Proverbs 29 verse 2 says, Proverbs 29 verse 2 says that when the righteous ruleth, the people rejoice. And when the wicked ruleth, the people mourn. I think in our society now, the level we have come, democracy is not obtainable in this whole country where we are right now. Because our leaders seem to be joking. They joke with everything, including human lives now. Because if you view, like what you are literally saying, what you are discussing, I'm also picking from it. They travel around the world and they see everything. They know what they should do, but they take us for granted because the citizens, we as citizens has not united ourselves. We should unite ourselves devoid of ethnicity, religion, so we can reclaim back the destiny of this country from the hand of these leaders that are unserious with our lives and everything.
Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. I mean, if you hear Mr. Emmanuel clearly, Mr. Emmanuel is suggesting that we need to come back to live in unity, and then in that way we're also able to promote peace in our environment. I mean, this we can go on and on and on talking about this, but I mean, bottom line, what we've been able to establish is that the government should go ahead to create or provide alternative strategies to be able to release those that have been held hostage, not hostage, my bad. Okay, so thank you very much, Diola. Thank you, NJ. It was amazing having you beautiful ladies on the show tonight and having your amazing contribution to this topic as well. If you missed today's quote, here it is again. Kidnapping causes a long-term rupture in the psyche of those kidnapped and of those who wait for their return. It doesn't end. And this is by Uzodinma Iwela. I'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen.